delicious entertainment. And now we return you to By the Glass.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to By the Glass. I'm your host, Brett Hubbard, and stay with us for this segment of By the Glass. We're going to explore the world of wine, beer, spirits, and everything. Me and my co-host Jason over here. Yeah, what we're doing here, we got a Florida Brew Drink Local show going on. It's the second episode in the series, and what we're doing is we're checking out what Florida has to offer by way of brew. And we have Mr. Bob Gordash in the studio drinking with us. But right now, we want to talk a little bit about the second part of our series here, the Indian River Brewery brand, Key West. Now, Key West, it's originally from Key West, Florida, and it's a company it's basically it emulates everything that Key West has to offer. I mean, it's a beautiful sunset. It's got the conch on there. It's his original beer, the Conch Republic. And just a little bit, we're going to have Cory calling in. He's going to be talking a little bit about the beer.
So, do they actually brew this in Key West, or is that?
Yeah, absolutely, they do. At one time, it was brewed in Key West, I do believe, and now it is
Melbourne.
And now it's brewed in Melbourne, absolutely. So what we like to do on this show, it's a show about beverage culture. We take a look at these beers. We evaluate them. We get an idea of what's going on, and we have some master evaluators in the house tonight. So as we look at these beers, I mean, what do we see off the top of our heads? I mean, it's a beautiful color, and this is what they call an amber ale. How do they usually, I mean, from your brewing experience, Bob, how do they usually create this kind of malted barley? How do they get it this kind of amber color?
Generally, use crystal malt, or what they call caramel malt, which is it's a grain that's been roasted just to a certain degree. Gives you some. It's also moist, and then they roast it.
Okay, so it has that nice, beautiful color, and they have it's the temperature set. Everything's very specific.
Right.
And I think that we have a caller. Is it Mr. Cory Brysman?
It sure is.
Hey, Cory, how
sure
you doing?
Is.
Cory, welcome to By the Glass.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, well, it's nice to have you. You know, we're sitting here and we're talking about the Key West, and Jason was asking me some questions. And I know that Key West was a beer originally from Key West. It's the beer of the Conch Republic, right, everybody?
It sure is. It came about around 1995, a very small brewery down. Actually, it was just outside of Key West. It was in an area called Rockland Key, which is about 8 miles north of Key West.
Okay.
It was brewed there for a couple of years, and they had some issues with being able to brew it there, capacity, being able to dispose the garbage. It was very expensive.
Right. So as it came up more popular, things kind of happened with it, and you guys kind of took it over and started to brew it up in Melbourne. Is that correct?
It's kind of twice removed. It was taken over by a company in Tampa.
Okay.
And then from there, we came about taking it over in the year 2005. We acquired the brewery. It was actually Ybor City, which was an old brewery.
Oh, wow.
In 2005, we took over all their operations, and then we've been brewing it ever since.
Excellent. Well, it's beautiful. We were talking about as we evaluate the beers, what we do here on By the Glass. We love to evaluate beers. And I was just talking to Bob over here, and he's talking about the crystal malt that you guys use to get this beautiful amber color.
As someone who likes to try beers all the time, I can appreciate your little label on there with the conch. The beer profile.
Yeah.
Where it says light, dark, malty, or hoppy.
Yeah, it gives you a nice direction in what it is you're about to try. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, what we try to do is we have a beer that is very easy to drink. It's not a real intense, aggressive flavor. It's very drinkable. At the same time, the label and just the whole feel of that beer, you kind of get the mindset of laid back, Key West, relaxing. Those are the types of things that we're trying to portray with that beer style.
Yeah, you're doing a really good job, because right from the label, as soon as I pick it up, you have the beautiful kind of sunset aspect, and that carries over into the actual beer. The color of it almost gives you like the kind of the essence of a sunset. Yeah, it's beautiful. It got that kind of a golden orange going, sun's going down, that whole
exactly.
Eagles Tequila Sunrise
Mallory
song.
Square, whatever that place is.
Yeah, everybody's beating out a drum and everything, and it makes you feel good and it makes you feel relaxed. And as I stick my nose in here, why don't you give me some of your notes right off the top that you like about this beer as we all stick our nose in the glass there, Cory?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is it's an easy drinking beer. It's not, as I was saying, some of the craft beers, especially if you are a craft drinker, tend to have a very intense flavor. This is not one of those intimidating, over the top, extremely intense, bitter beers. It's a little bit sweet. It's got a very smooth flavor. So it's one of those beers that anybody can drink, whether you're a light beer drinker or you're one of those intense craft drinkers.
Yeah, I'm still getting some good cantaloupe, some good grapefruit off the nose, definitely. I mean, they're coming through, and they're nice. They're nuances. I like that you said that it's more of an introductory craft beer, because there's a lot of people out there that I think we like to reach out to that are maybe not, the savants, so to speak, and, everybody needs to get started somewhere, and that's the important thing. And it's a good beer to reach out to and to try. Maybe as a good introductory. I like to call them gateway beers to bring people into the mix, right, Cory?
Exactly, and that's kind of, and this beer's been around a long time. It's one of those, like you were saying, it's an easy drinking beer. People that have never tried craft beers, it's one of those unintimidating beers that even if you're not a craft, you can try, and then from there you can move on and get into some of the other craft beers.
Absolutely, I'm catching a little bit of a nice smokiness too in the finish, and it's got a nice caramel note to it. Right from the nose, yes, with a good fruit into a decent mid palate. I like the body. I like the effervescence of it. It's got a good carbonation to it, and then as it finishes and fades away, it gives me a nice smoky, caramelized notes. Everything I want from the malt, and it's not an overpowering amount of hops, but the hops is very good. A good amount of citrus, grapefruit, the good nuances of the cantaloupe. So I think you guys did a good job. I think it's pretty well balanced, and I think it's a good drink. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Just quickly, just to give you, I know that for the people that are more into the specifications of the beer, the bitterness, which is the IBUs, are 16.0, and the alcohol by volume, ABV, is just over 5%.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, like I said, it's a really good. I mean, it's got quality to it, but it's also something that's a little bit more approachable too. And I think you guys have really found your niche with that. And also, it can't hurt that it's got the conch on there and says the beer of the Conch Republic, because I know a lot of people come down to Florida, and what do they want to do? They want to drink local. They want to drink Florida beer. It's so hot. It's so hot right now, the category of drinking local, because people should see what's around them. We have a lot of quality right around us. There's a lot of good talent down here. There's a lot of people that are doing it. There's a lot of brew pubs that are opening up. There's a lot of great places to go and try great beers. There's a lot of gastro places that are, places to mix food and beer, to do tastings. It's just, it's really fever pitch right now. And you guys, being, you got this product here, that's going to bring people into the fold, and I really love that.
Definitely, Brett. One other thing I wanted to mention, I kind of equate it to a restaurant that buys local products, say, for instance, from farms that are nearby. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. What better thing to be able to do to offer someone a product where you're buying locally? When you go into a restaurant, you buy something that where they're accessing the food from a local farmer. It gives you a good feeling, and it's a nice thing to be able to offer. It's the same thing with us, being a local craft brewer, carrying a product like that where you can say, hey, the brewery that makes this beer is 1 hour or 2 hours up the road. Absolutely. I think that's a really unique thing.
Absolutely. That's that form of community that I'm talking about, because, when it started out, you have your green markets, you have your farmers markets, you have these people that have their own gardens, you have the people, I'm sure Bob's out there growing some of the spices he likes to use in his beer. It really all comes around. So if you support local, buy local, give back to the people around you, it all is a big cycle. Like I always say, at the end of the day, the people that make this stuff, what do you make it out of? You make it out of food products. You make it out of stuff that grows in the ground. Okay, you pick grapes from the vine. Okay, these people that have to grow it, they're agriculturalists. They're really, the root is is farming, and an understanding and a knowing of that gives back to the people. It creates a community, and it creates a whole essence that really it's nurturing to just everybody in South Florida.
I agree. I can't agree more. This is something that ever since I've been with the company, I've been trying to get that word out, that we're local, support the local community, the local businesses. And it's really catching on. The last couple of years, it's caught on extremely well.
And we have nowhere to go but up with that whole concept, because it's the right thing to do, and I think it's a very organic and natural way to perceive business, you know. And like I said, it's a wonderful thing. Like as I said to Bob, I said, did you ever imagine you'd get this big, you know? And the fact that Jason was saying, you know, it's something he loves to do, and he comes up, you know, he's a brewer, and now he's doing it for real, and it just shows you how big this whole thing can get, you know. People that are doing what they love to do, creating a community, buying stuff from their fellow consumer and giving back. It's just, you know, it's something that I think is going to be the future, and I think that, you know, as we look forward to the future, I think that we have a bright horizon.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
Not to change subject, but the Swamp Ape.
Okay, so Jason, that's why I have Jason here, because he keeps me on my toes.
I poured some of that, and it's just a completely different taste.
Okay, so let's hold on. As we do this, we poured some of the Swamp Ape. So basically, let's switch gears. The Key West was the Sunset Ale, and that was the flagship. I like to call it a flagship, and it is part of the flagship. Now, as we move on to their craftier beer, they've moved up to the Florida IPA Swamp Ape, and it's a pretty interesting bottle here. And if I give you a little description, it's a double India Pale Ale, and basically it's a strong, hoppy style of beer. It's known for its IPA or a double IPA. It's got a high amount of malt and a high amount of hops, because you can't have one without the other when you get into these big beers. They need to have that complexity and balance within themselves. If you increase one, you need to increase the other, and they both come up big. It's also called a double. Maybe you can explain to us, you know, what is a double for the people out there that don't know, Cory?
Well, double, or actually Imperial IPA, is what it is it's a higher level of alcohol and usually a higher level of bitterness than a single IPA or just an IPA. I believe it's between 65 and 100 IBUs, and above 7.5, actually between 7.5 and 10.5% alcohol would put that in the double or Imperial IPA category.
So it really is a monster. It's not just a picture on the bottle.
Yeah, you know what? And I'll tell you, I'm glad we're talking about the Swamp Ape. It's one of those beers. You know, the IPA category in the craft segment. The IPAs are one of the hottest beers right now in the craft category.
What I love
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying what I love about those beers, and the fact that it's a hot craft category and segment, is because it brings out in the consumer, that, you know, the drinker, the people that are actually drinking these beers, they have to have that wisdom and knowledge of what it is they're looking for, and they're being excited by these beers. These beers are creating passion. They're building excitement within the community. I mean, everybody's striving to make a bigger, comparison, but to make a beer that, you know, is you guys, when somebody sets a benchmark and the other guy tries to make one, it improves the whole community. And it's kind of like wine, and you know, the quality and the ingredients, you know, they're to be perceived, and they're to be, you know, adored.
Is there really 5 different kind of hops in the Swamp Ape?
There sure is. You've got the U.S. Tettnang, Centennial, the Chinook, Cascade, and Amarillo. Some of those are more aroma-style hops, and some of them are a little more in the bitterness category. And with that mix of all those 5, it just gives it the depth of flavor.
The aroma right off the nose. Bob, what do you think? You've been quiet over there.
Well, it's got a great citrus flavor from the hops. I can tell from the Chinook. Definitely taste the Cascade type citrusy, grapefruity almost taste.
See how you can pick out the different hops. You can pick those out because you have the nose for it. And that's what I was saying about the wine. You get somebody who's a sommelier, he can tell you whether it's a Merlot from the old world or whether it's a Bordeaux or something. You know what I mean?
I don't think he needs a certification though.
but you know what I'm saying. So once you have this nose and you've really acquired these flavors and these tastes, these are the types of beers now that'll bring us into the next echelon. This is the Renaissance. This is what we're talking about. This is what makes it exciting. This is why I'm at fever pitch right here, right, Monica? This is why we have this show. It's beverage culture, folks, right here on By the Glass. I mean, I couldn't be more happy to have Mr. Cory Brysman on the phone and Mr. Bob Gordash sitting here right next to me. We're having a wonderful time. We're evaluating. This is what we do every Thursday at 6. Cory, I got to say goodbye to you, but, man, it's been wonderful having you on the show.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you, and you can always be a guest anytime you like, okay?
Sounds great, Brett.
Cheers,
appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Yeah, I mean, I can't
Take care, Bob.
Take care. I can't tell you how much this is a beautiful, wonderful beer. I mean, like you said, we're beautiful on the nose, the nice finish, and everything about it.
It's really got a nice citrus character. The Chinook hops give you that grapefruit. Amarillo actually gives you an orangey type of taste. So it's amazing combination.
Awesome, well balanced. We're gonna get back to more of that, and when we come back on By the Glass Show on SoFloRadio.com.
The Nicole Sadler